Hey y'all, welcome to episode 2 of Thunder Bros, and today we're talking about the attributes of God. In this episode, you'll hear 3 attributes, and in another episode, maybe the 4th, I believe, we'll talk about 3 more.
Yeah, 2 episodes from now. We're starting in love because that is the absolute main attribute of God. That is who God is. He is love, and love is God. In the beginning was love, and in the Word was love. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm gonna read 1 John 4:10, which is, "In this is love, not that we have loved God, but that He has loved us and sent His Son to be the propitiation of our sins."
I think it means like to please God, propitiation, which loving God is pleasing Him.
1 John 4:8 is, "Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love."
Yes.
Yeah. So that's just it's saying God is love, and that if you don't love, you can't know God's love.
Yeah. I mean, really, if you really don't know God, kind of go back vice versa, you can't really love. Because real love comes from God.
And I mean, like, God is love, and He loves everybody. But if you don't love people,
Like God.
you won't learn God's love for you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, really, God, us loving because we're made in His image is a little glimpse of His love for us. Those little acts of kindness or out of things we do out of love is little glimpses of what He has for us, which is kind of crazy if you think about it.
The second one, which is also about love, is 1 Corinthians 13:4, which is, "Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. Love is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things." And that's what we have for love, because
That's one of my favorite verses. I love that.
Yeah.
Just because, like, and if y'all go watch episode 1, we talked about this verse a little bit. But one of the things I love about this is just how, like, love on its own seems so simple. But good, honest, pure love that comes from the Father and the Son, or comes from God, results in so many amazing things.
Yeah. Second attribute of God is grace. 2 Corinthians 12:9. This is red letter too. This is what Jesus said
To Paul.
to Paul.
To the
He
Corinthians.
said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weakness, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me." So it's talking about how Jesus says, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." And we're human, so we're gonna fail. We're weak at times, and it's just saying that
Like, in our weakness, Christ is made strong. And that's kind of what happened with the cross, you know? Like, through our weaknesses, through our sin, He came and forgave us with grace. And then He was made strong through our weakness, and now we are made lifted up as well.
the last one for grace is Romans 6:14, which says, "For sin will have no dominion over you, since you are not under law, but under grace." And that's talking about,
Pretty powerful verse.
that's a good one.
So, because He had grace for us on the cross, right? We are no longer under the dominion of sin. We don't have to worry about that anymore. We will still sin, but we are promised a better future,
We will
right?
be given forgiveness, which is another attribute.
Right. But, we are promised an eternity. And that's kind of hard to wrap your mind around. Eternity, forever. I mean, that's kind of hard to think. I know it's hard for me to think. We don't have to abide under the law anymore, but under grace. Now, that doesn't mean go break the law. Go vandalize a store, run naked in the middle of D.C. But,
Like,
I don't know. It's the first thing that came to my mind.
Denver, Colorado. I'm just kidding.
I think, and I might be wrong, that's referring to the Old Testament, which was also called the Old Law, which is what people back then referred to as the law. And so that's what people had to abide before Jesus came here, right? They had to follow the old law. But when Jesus came here and his death created a new promise or a new law, the New Testament. And that's what we live under. Yes, the Old Testament is very, very, very important, but some of those laws don't apply now. All we have to do is through faith, we are accepted.
Which faith is another attribute of God.
Faith is another attribute of God. And by grace, through faith, we place our faith in him, and his grace accepts us, right? And now we are foreverly and eternally accepted into heaven. That's pretty great.
So we're going to talk about peace this time, or
Patience.
Patience this time, because patience. That's it. And then these verses are about patience with Jesus.
Jesus had.
Yeah, that kind of like his patience. There's verses that say for us to be patient that are like talking to us, and then there's times that Jesus showed this.
And that's one thing that I think verses can they're amazing. The ones I think we were trying to think Philippians 4:7 or 1 Peter 5:7, all kind of telling us to be patient. But I think for me, one of the best things to help me be more patient is to watch the patience of Jesus, because Jesus had a lot of patience. I mean, he had 12 disciples, and those disciples were young. Most of the documentaries that you see about Jesus and his disciples are mostly, they're all adult men, but really their disciples were teenagers. I mean, probably not much older than us. I mean, probably 17, 18, around there. That's pretty young to start a ministry with the Son of God, right?
Because Jesus was only 30 and 33. It was from 30 to
3-year ministry.
And so to have people in your same area would make it to where they're like, I'm near the same age as you. I'm just as wise as you. I could do this kind of thing. And I think that's one reason why he chose younger people, because he could teach them and they would listen.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
I think, it's another even cooler thing to have Jesus have patience on these teenagers, because I know sometimes teenagers is hard to have patience on. Okay, so this is an example of I think, of Jesus having patience when the disciples really just kind of screw up. They kind of get a little silly, don't really think about what they're doing, talk when they're not supposed to. That's why I like to read this, because I talk a lot and when I'm not supposed to, and it helps me not to. So Matthew 17 is about the transfiguration. So it says, after 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John, James's brother, and led them up to a high mountain by themselves. And he transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became white as light. So Jesus comes here, and he reveals, on earth, he looks like a man, right? Because Jesus is 100% man, 100% God.
Yes.
So, they've only seen him as a man, right? But they go up and he shows them what he looks like as God. So that's crazy. So that's crazy. They're probably like, what the heck is going on? This is crazy. They're probably scared. I mean, it's probably super bright. He said it's as bright as the sun. They probably can't see his face anymore. White as snow. And then out of nowhere, now remember, the people and then still followed the Old Testament, right? They still looked up to the Old Testament. There wasn't a New Testament yet, right?
Jesus was the
It's
creation
almost
of the New
there,
Testament.
but not quite, right? And so out of nowhere comes Moses and Elijah with Jesus transfigured. And these are kind of the two Hall of Famers, two heroes of the Old Testament. People back then were like, I want to grow up to be like Moses. I want to grow up to be like Elijah, And so to have that and Jesus, the Son of God, is kind of crazy, they're like, what the heck is happening here? Peter just goes and I relate with Peter a lot, oh my gosh. So Peter
that's
just out of
that's also Peter's characteristic. He's always like, I'll fight him for you, Jesus.
He's so determined and talks a lot. And I relate a lot with Peter, and I think that's why I love disciples, because they're humans. But that's why God has patience with humans. So if God can have patience with the disciples, he can have patience on us.
So Peter is...
So Peter gets anxious, and he's like, oh my gosh, there's Moses. And he goes up to Jesus, and he's like, it is good that we are here. I was like, what? That's the first thing you have to say? Jesus, it is good that we are here. And then he goes into I will build a tent for you, Jesus, over here. And then for Moses, I'll build a tent for here, and a tent here, and so many different tents, right? And then God the Father comes out of heaven and is like, shut up, Peter. This is the Son who I am well pleased. Listen to him. Listen to him. And Peter just like falls on his face, and he's like, okay, sorry. But then Jesus, it just seems so much like Jesus' character comes and picks up Peter, and he's like, it's okay. It's okay. Calm down, but it's okay. I still love you. I still care for you. I have patience, right? And so it's good, like, you know, even if you go through hard things, Jesus is going to love you. Jesus is going to forgive you. Jesus is going to have patience with you.
He'll be there to say, hey, it's okay. I'm here.
It's going to be okay.
You know.
We have come to find out that we have inherited $3 billion, and now we have to act stupid.
Hebrews coffee. Hebrews 4:16. Been pretty long.
Hi.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching our second video. If you like what you see, share it with people. If you want to watch more, subscribe. And that's it. Jonah?
Yep.